So it's exam result day, and many of you would have received good news that you passed your exam, and congratulations on receiving that news. But there will be many of you that might have not received such good news, and unfortunately you find out that you failed your ACCA exam. And when you fail an exam or when you experience any sort of failure in life, obviously you feel demotivated, you feel sad, you feel miserable. You think that this is a huge problem and you start to wonder, now what? So when you're in such a mindset where you're feeling demotivated, you're feeling down, you're feeling unhappy, there are certain things you need to keep in mind so that you don't dwell too much on the negatives and you start to focus and move forward with the positives. So in this video, I'm going to briefly talk about some of the do's and don'ts when you're in this situation. So if you've received bad news that you failed some or maybe even all of your ACCA exams, not to worry, it's not the end of the world. You need to just learn some lessons and you need to move forward. So we're going to start off with the don'ts. Some key things that you should not do at this point in time. First of all, don't be too harsh with yourself. When life is beating you down, the last thing you should do is join in and start beating yourself up as well. And it's easy to do because you failed your exam, you're unhappy with yourself, you're unhappy with your performance, you're blaming yourself, and that will only help in further amplifying the demotivation, the sadness that you're experiencing. But don't be too harsh with yourself. Why? Because the past is the past. Regardless of whether you failed the exam because of some fault of your own, some mistake of your own or not, the past cannot be changed, so don't be too harsh with yourself at this point in time. You do not need demotivation, you need motivation. Secondly, it's very easy at a time like this that you start comparing yourselves to others. So whenever we fail an exam, our usual instinct is to ask our friends how they did. We're hoping that they also failed the exam, because if most people fail the exam, it means that the exam was difficult, there was something wrong with the exam, and that we're fine, we can shift the blame to something else. But on the flip side, if we fail something and we find out that our friends passed, then it hurts even more, because now our excuses start to run out. But the issue is when you start comparing yourselves to your friends who have passed, you're being unfair on both them and yourself. How are you being unfair to them? Well, you're essentially becoming jealous of their performance and their passing the exam and you not being able to do so, even though maybe they passed the exam because they worked harder or studied smarter than you did. So it's unfair to them. You should not be jealous of them. Secondly, you're being unfair to yourself because you're not counting all the blessings that you have. Just because you're suffering one setback in life doesn't mean it's the end of the world. There's still so much good that's going on in your life, and you should not be overlooking that. Instead, if you're going to compare yourself to your friends who have passed, what you should be doing is looking for the things that they did right, things that they might have done better than you, and you should focus on attempting to perform in the same manner in those same attributes as your friends have, so that in the future you too can pass the exam. And lastly, don't consider your efforts wasted. You studied hard for 3 months or 6 months or maybe even a year depending on which exams you're giving, and you fail. That doesn't mean your efforts are wasted, because while you were studying that hard, you were undoubtedly learning something along the way. Furthermore, this failure itself will be a learning experience as long as you react to it the right way. Failure builds character, and it is our mistakes that make us improve in life. If everything was easy and we would just coast along in life, we would never improve and never become better. Failure teaches us resiliency, and therefore you shouldn't consider your efforts wasted. If you react positively to this experience will no doubt make you a stronger person in the future. And that brings us to what you should be doing in this circumstance. First of all, you should be looking at what went wrong. Look at the situation and what might have gone wrong that you failed the exam. Was it something that was controllable or uncontrollable? Uncontrollable, like maybe you were sick on the exam day. Anything that was uncontrollable you couldn't have impacted anyway, so you shouldn't be bothered about that. But if it is something controllable, maybe you didn't spend too much time studying, or maybe you didn't focus on certain topics which you found difficult, or maybe you didn't manage your time properly in the exam, or maybe you got nervous in the exam. Then you need to make sure you take the adequate steps this time so that you do not repeat the same mistake again. So if you didn't study enough last time, make sure to study enough this time. If you didn't focus on certain difficult topics this time, make sure you're confident in them and you master them so you're not afraid of them come the time for the next exam. If you struggled with being nervous or not managing your time properly in the exam, then now is the time to practice under timed conditions, under pressure conditions, so that you make sure that that doesn't repeat in the next sitting. What you should also be doing is looking ahead to the future. So that means the past is the past, it's done, it's dusted, regardless of what mistakes you did or did not make, it's not going to change the past. Look for the future, that's something that you can change, focus on that. So focus on the next sitting, the past sitting is done, it's over. And lastly, back yourself up. If you're not going to back yourself up, no one else is going to. If you're not going to bat for your team, no one else is going to. Look, it's just an exam, just a single or even multiple exams. It's a small droplet in your overall life, and these setbacks will happen. They're a part and parcel of life. But that doesn't make you a failure. That doesn't mean that you wasted your time. All it means is that you have a setback and now you respond to it. So back yourself up. It's only an exam. It only takes 50 marks to pass. You can do this. You can do this easily. Lots of other people have done it, and no doubt you can do it as well, as long as you apply yourself, make an honest effort, make a good effort, and no doubt you will be successful down the line. At the end of the day, we are all human beings. So that means it's not a matter of simply flicking a switch, a simple motivational speech, some encouraging words, and things being all right. No, you need to be patient with yourself. Give yourself some time to emotionally recover from this state. After that, it's a matter of reassuring, reminding, and refocusing yourself and putting in the effort so that next time you get through the exam. All the best.